And it is Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Welcome back to another episode of No Buts About It. This is very odd for me in this very sense because Josh is also on the show today. Felt well enough to come and join us today for this epic NFL discussion that we're going to have over the course of this week. We had a lot of different news and we have some other discussions regarding the Jets, as well as the Lions, as well as Monday night and Thursday night football, and then obviously our Sunday picks going into tomorrow. But first and foremost, before I get started into any of that, welcome back to the show, Josh. It is great to have you back on here. Thank you for letting me host, even though you're back here today. What's going on with you? How are things?
Yeah. So I felt well enough to record today. I don't have to lay face down anymore. Don't have to lay on my side. I can move around. My doctor said I can look at screens again. I just can't be super violent with the head movements. So I miss doing this, and I literally texted Chus like 15 minutes before the show started and was like, hey, what are you talking about today? Because I didn't plan to be here. That's why Chus is still hosting, because I knew what we could talk about, but he had a plan already. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be back. I enjoy this. I missed it. So thank you for hosting, Chus. You've done great.
Thank you.
But let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I know this is like almost a week old. We've already had another Thursday night football game played between the Commanders and the Bears, but I do want to switch back to last week and talk about the Lions. Alvarado, how is your journey going with watching the Lions so far? I mean, they're 3-1 right now. It's almost like you're giving them some really good luck going into this season. How you feeling about the Lions overall? They're looking pretty good. How do you think that they matched up against Green Bay, and what are your thoughts going into this week?
Going into Green Bay, I thought they were doing really well at the start. Kind of got a little worried, though, towards the end. I could kind of sense it was going to be, it was a good blowout at the first half, but then little by little, Green Bay started coming back, and they're a scary team. Once they get going, they kind of start picking up a little bit, and then it's just turning into, ooh. But thankfully, they took away with the W. The other game, even before that, against Atlanta, 20-6. I thought that was really, really good. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because when I was first starting to watch the NFL, I picked the Lions because, they aren't necessarily the best team out there. They have 0 Super Bowls, so I can't really be called a bandwagon. And it's cool seeing a team be up in the rise. They're 3-1. And, that game they lost, I think it still could have been taken as a W. So, yeah, it's a bright future to be a Lions fan right now. But then on the other aspect, it's just as an NFL new fan in general, you really start to notice all the drama or things that happen outside of the field as well, and how much little injuries can impact the game, such as like going into week 5. Not exactly sure how our star wide receiver is if he's gonna be able to make it or not, or even Gibbs, our rookie running back, is he gonna be able to play? Because right now, from what I recall, he was listed as questionable for week 5. But I think right now we're on a high. I think they have good momentum, winning 2 games in a row, and I really don't see why we can't beat the Panthers, who are currently 0-4. But alas, we've seen it happen in the NFL, just like we did with the Bears. We'll see what happens. Anything is possible. But what a great time to be a Lions fan and a new NFL fan in general. It's fun seeing so many people go crazy over little things such as like T Swift and Kelsey. It's entertaining. Annoying, but entertaining.
What's going on with Amon-Ra? Because Trust mentioned this before the show started, and I must have missed it. What's going on? Did he get injured during the game or get injured at practice? Does anyone know?
Yeah, I think it was just a reoccurring, like it was just an injury that he had during the game last week. It looked like this past week he had been limited in practice because of this said injury, and because he was limited, he eventually became like a non-full participant in practice because they were using it as like a precautionary, to the point where on Friday he didn't practice at all, and now his playing on Sunday is like in doubt, and they're saying, oh no, there's a chance he could still suit up, but he hasn't practiced like nearly at all all week. Like he has limited participant, but it's not actually in practice. It's like on the sideline doing other things, like other reps and stuff. So they're really not sure what to expect with him. Like he could play, but there's also a chance he doesn't. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure where the injury stemmed from. I mean, he's been kind of like in and out dealing with some injuries over the last couple of weeks, so I'm not really that shocked, but we'll see what happens.
Because he did that Lambeau leap at Lambeau and he got that beer poured on him. That's why he's injured.
I mean, that is a good possibility.
Straight facts.
Hey man, you said it, not me. But it's kind of funny. Alvarado, you did mention Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, and it kind of makes me want to like revert to this other topic that might be a little bit of a sour conversation for Stan, but Travis Kelce was in the building against the Jets, and who else was in that building was none other than Taylor Swift, and it hurt my soul whenever I saw the NFL post that the Chiefs are 2-0 as Swifties in their Instagram and Twitter bios after the 23-20 win over the Jets. Now, there's nothing to be disappointed for because I think the Jets looked pretty solid, but what's going through your head right now, Stan, when it came to that Sunday game for the Jets and the Chiefs after that heartbreaking loss and some questionable penalties and a lot of stuff that went on during that game?
After that crazy Bills comeback to start off the season, that's definitely my second favorite game of the year, and it was really exciting. You know me, I used to be a big Zach Wilson supporter, and recently I've kind of soured on him. But seeing him step up in a big way on Sunday in a primetime slot, it meant a lot to me as a fan. And the big question for me moving forward is how will Wilson translate this to long-term success? I mean, Wilson became the first ever quarterback to get more pass completions, more touchdowns, less interceptions, and more yards against Patrick Mahomes in a game. That's kind of crazy that Zach Wilson was the guy to do that. Mahomes has played Brady a few times, so it means a lot to me as a fan to see Wilson stepping up. It was weird, though. I mean, I really didn't know where it all came from. Even the first quarter of that game looked really questionable for Zach Wilson. So to see him step up in the second quarter moving forward, it was very cool to see. The team overall did a really good job. I mean, we got 2 interceptions on Mahomes. Earlier, we got 3 interceptions on Allen, and I think we'll see at least one against Wilson on Sunday. But I think we're stepping up. We're getting a little bit of an offense, really. We're making plays. We're moving downfield. The one thing I think that stood out most to me was early on in the game, Wilson was trying these very simple slant routes, curl routes, the very basic stuff that quarterbacks, start the games with, that they build up on, and he did not look good there. It wasn't up until he really began pushing downfield, going for these 20-plus yard passes where he actually began looking comfortable. And that's one thing with Wilson, where that is where he succeeded in the past. So I think maybe it's a good time for the Jets coaching staff to change their game plan a little bit. The Aaron Rodgers style worked well, but we don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. So how do you go ahead and take that game plan, make it work for Wilson moving forward? I'm a little bit upset that Wilson performed so well simply because now I don't think the Jets are going to push as much to get another quarterback in the building before the trade deadline. I think if he didn't perform well, I think we'd almost definitely trade for a quarterback to enter this building. But it looks like now I would guess our season is going to be on the shoulders of Zach Wilson. I'm nervous. I'm hopeful, but every time I felt hopeful for Zach Wilson before, he stabbed me in the heart. So I'm begging you, Zach Wilson, please, just play well. Do what you did on Sunday for the rest of the season, and we'll be all right. I'd like to believe that it was this podcast actually where I was tearing him up on the last episode I was on. I want to say that Zach Wilson saw that podcast and he looked into me and he saw the pain I've been through as a fan, and he translated that into success on the field. So Wilson, we know you're a fan of the show. We're talking to you right now. Keep it going, man.
Zach
Yes.
Wilson, if you're listening, thank you. Please send us an email. We'd love to have you on the show. Actually, I have 2 things real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a few weeks ago during the preseason, you said you'd be open to Zach Wilson starting again after Aaron Rodgers' era is over in New York. And then, like you alluded to last week, you said he should be out of the league. So you switched up pretty quickly there. Now where are you?
I don't know. I mean, I thought I've seen everything from Zach Wilson. If you asked me this before Sunday night, if you asked me this on Sunday night in the first half of that game, I would have said that Zach Wilson should be gone. As a Jets fan who interacts with a lot of Jets fans, I think that's what the entire fan base was feeling. And it's after this game, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it really changes that much for me, right? Because one game, that could be a fluke. If Zach Wilson can do this, let's say a third of the games this season and the rest of the games is just an average quarterback, I think he could stay. But if this only happens 2 or 3 times this season and the rest are as bad as the Zach Wilson we know and hate, then I'm ready to move on. So I really think it depends on what he does throughout the next few weeks. Even though it was great to see him perform well, I don't know if this changes my opinion on him. Quite frankly, if I had the decision based on what I've seen this season, I'm still saying cut him off the team. But once we see a little more consistency from him, we see a few different performances like this season, and we don't see the really terrible 4-pick, 3-pick performances, I think then we can look at giving Zach Wilson the reins in the post-Rodgers era.
Okay. And then number 2 thing, something I noticed, and you again kind of alluded to this, was it seemed like the offensive coordinator had created a playbook and adjusted for Wilson now to where it seemed like most of his receivers were not in the same area, but on the same side of the field, so that Wilson's reads were kind of all within his peripheral and he didn't have to scan across the field as much. Rodgers has always been very good at scanning across the field, and so you could spread out the players more. Do you think that's something that helped Wilson be able to perform the way he did? And if so, when you keep going with that, are you scared that you're kind of limited to that one half of the field?
I think that's a yes and no type of answer. I mean, yes, it is definitely a weakness to only be able to throw to one half the field, but I would disagree with your breakdown there. I don't know if that's exactly what's happening. I think the one of the concepts that Zach Wilson loves throwing is the dagger concept, right? So with a dagger concept, you need wide receivers to line up on that side of the field. So I think it was more of the coaching staff giving him a playbook that he could work with and that he felt comfortable throwing inside of. Now, throughout the rest of the season, we'll have to see if that continues and to what extent. But if the defense, run with an amazing coaching staff by the Chiefs, was unable to stop him, unable to stop Zach Wilson, and they've been to how many Super Bowls in the last 5 years? I think we might be okay. I think for Zach Wilson, yes, that might be a weakness if he cannot grow from that. But I'd imagine that was more of just giving him kind of a stepping stone, giving him an easier transition into a full NFL playbook. And I will say I do disagree with your breakdown to say he was only throwing towards one side of the field.
Okay.
Josh, did you have any other questions?
No, I didn't. I assume you're going to ask Stan if he's a Swiftie.
Oh, well, yeah. Stan, how you holding up over there? What's your favorite Taylor Swift song?
I like the last second of every song. That's my favorite part.
Honestly, yeah, that's a good one.
Jets ownership are Swifties. That's what they said.
I saw that.
Yeah,
you are not.
I am not.
Now there was a video that I saw. It was from this account that I follow called Overtime Day. It's a guy that I follow on Instagram. I followed him for a while now, and he was interviewing fans at the Jets Chiefs game that were like clearly like just Taylor Swift super fans. And he was going up to them being like, would you rather have front row tickets to Taylor Swift or I forget what the other thing was. And they would always like, oh, I want front row tickets to Taylor Swift. And most of them were like, I don't even know which team is which. I just know of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And I was just like, this is just ridiculous. Like, I think I sent it to you, Josh, or I sent it to somebody, but
yeah,
I
was like Jets win a Super Bowl or Chiefs win it. Someone wins a Super Bowl. I assume Chiefs, I guess.
I guess it was Chiefs because there was one person wearing a Jets t-shirt and she was like, I only wore this because it was the only thing that I could find. And because she was like, I couldn't find a Chiefs shirt in time for the game. So I wore a Jets shirt. And then they were like, would you rather have a Jets Super Bowl or Taylor Swift front row tickets? And they were like, Taylor Swift front row tickets. And then she was like, did you know Travis Kelce before 2 weeks ago? And they were like, no. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Sauce Gardner's not a Swiftie. Stan's not a Swiftie. They can form a club.
It's Jackson Mahomes, all of that stuff all over again. It's the Chiefs are becoming one of the most annoying fan bases in the NFL.
Oh, they have been. They have been.
And it's one of those things for me where it's like, it's not even, it's at this point, it's not even like the fan base is being annoying itself. I mean, they are at times, but like, it's the outside like influences that are making it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because obviously, like, you know, Steelers fans can be very, very, very vicious and vocal. And now there's even, you know, you can even say that the Eagles, like, obviously they have a very, very angry fan base over there too. Like, they can be very, very aggressive at home Eagles games to the away fans. But nonetheless, I mean, with Chiefs fans, the fan base is just, when I think of Chiefs now, I think of Jackson Mahomes and Taylor Swift, and that is not how I want to view them. So won't be buying any Chiefs merch anytime soon. I don't want to be associated with that, in my opinion. Sorry, guys. But moving past that, a little topic of discussion that I didn't get a chance to talk with on the show with my dad from earlier this week was Monday Night Football with the Seahawks and Giants. Now, Stan, I know that you're more of a Jets fan than a Giants fan. Josh, I know you also watched the game. I only caught bits and pieces of it. The rookie Alvarado, I don't know if you caught any of the game or what any of you guys had when it came to opinions on the game. Wasn't a really good look for the Giants. Josh brought up an interesting stat about only having the lead for, 19 seconds?
The Giants have only had the lead this season for 19 seconds. I believe that is still true.
Yeah, which probably is still valid. The Giants, once again, put up very, very poor numbers and put up 3 against the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are definitely a better team than, you know, many consider, but I do think the Seahawks are pretty decent. But nonetheless, what did you guys all think about this game? Like, what did you think of the overall playing? You know, what's going on with the Giants here? Like, what's going on with the Seahawks moving forward after this win? You know, what are your guys' analysis going into this game?
Who do you want to go for?
I don't care. This is to all 3 of you. This is literally to all 3 of you because there's 3 of you on the show. So I'm just kind of throwing it to you guys. Stan, if you want to start, you can go. I don't know if any of you guys have too many opinions more than the other. I don't know. Like I'm indifferent about the game. I couldn't have cared less. Me and my dad were like, we're just going to skip that game. So we didn't really care. There was that game. And then I think the London game we skipped with Jacksonville. Like there was just some games we were just like, we don't really feel like talking about it. So we didn't, but I don't know did you guys have anything? I mean, the Giants look terrible.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I'll say. I am more confident than ever that the Jets are the best team in MetLife right now. We are representing the city of New York more than the Giants are at this point in time. I'll say that the Giants, it's just they're looking worse and worse. Even as you know, they haven't had that Cowboys game again, but they're definitely looking a little bit worse as a team. And I think the main thing I'm looking at is, you know, their O-line's doing nothing, but Daniel Jones is also not really looking comfortable there. There's more infighting inside that locker room. We saw Brian Daboll scream at Daniel Jones on the sideline in the middle of the game. Not a great look.
Through the touch this Windows pad thing at him too.
Oh, I didn't even see that. But I mean, that's even worse. And I think you're seeing a franchise that just really is not looking good. It might be time to move. I mean, I think it's definitely time to move on from the Daniel Jones experiment. This is his 6th year, if I remember, in the NFL. And if he can't make it work 6 years in with the same coaching or most of the same coaching staff and, you know, a lot of resources given to him, I think it's time to move on from him. Saquon, too, I mean, because of the injuries that Saquon has had, the Giants have been hampered so much as a team, despite making the playoffs last year. And they've had an extremely tough schedule to enter into the season. But that game against the Seahawks, having it being such a terrible game, a terrible performance by the Giants, I think that is extremely telling. So I think for Giants fans out there, it's time to get excited for the draft, where I've been as a Jets fan for the last 3 years.
So
yeah, let's
what?
go. Let's go Jets for New York.
Okay, wait. You're saying move on from Daniel Jones, even though they just extended him, and he's got guaranteed contracts. So you're willing?
Well-
You just want to eat all of that with? I think he's guaranteed at least 2 years worth of his salary.
So, I mean, I think the best bet for them is to trade him to a team that thinks they can make him work out. Kind of what the Jets did with Sam Darnold. Put him with a team that believes they can make Daniel Jones work. There probably are teams out there, shop him around. I think Daniel Jones, I can't imagine he's happy in New York right now. And I can't imagine the management and the coaching staff in New York is happy with him. Now, I don't think this means Daniel Jones is a bad player. I think he's a decent player. He reminds me of like a Sam Bradford type of player. Like, he could work around the league. He could be a starter level, just not a star, right? I think that's what Daniel Jones is. So there are teams out there that can look for a guy like that. And I think if I'm the Giants, I'm trading him away and I'm finding a new quarterback to build my team around. Because I don't think you're going to win the Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. And, this is the NFL. If you're not going to win one with him, let him go to a team that thinks they can. And you as a team move on towards a new direction. Because right now, I think for both sides, Daniel Jones and the coaching staff, it's just blame going around, and it's not a great situation for anyone involved. So I think it's time to part ways.
Okay. Alvarado, do you watch the game? Did you have anything?
The rookie has not watched the game because he is limited to just paying attention to like 2 or 3 teams.
You know what? That's fair. Honestly,
That's fair.
I mean, the fact that you're even being able to come on the show and talk some analysis on the lines is freaking awesome. So we just really appreciate you being able to come on the show regardless of how many games you watch. I can't say I watched them all, so I didn't watch Monday night really at all. So that's why I kind of left it up to you guys. But I know Josh was. How do you feel about that Monday night game, Josh? I know you're very excited.
Whatever the cornerback coach is doing in Seattle and has been doing for the last decade needs to be copied by every single NFL coach. They have the best cornerbacks in the NFL consistently. Richard Sherman, Tyreek Woolen, now Devin Witherspoon. And Stan's giving me this like, what are you talking about thing? Devin Witherspoon had 7 tackles, 2 sacks, and a pick 6 for 97 yards against the Giants.
Yeah, but that's against the Giants.
Yeah, but the dude was on fire last week. How many pick 6s does Sauce Gardner have this season?
0, but he's still a way better cornerback.
Devin Witherspoon popped off. I mean, he had 11 tackles against the Panthers. He had 5 against the Lions. The dude is a sleeper. He was a top 5 pick, so I don't know if sleeper is the right word, but I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about him. And honestly, we hadn't really talked about him. But watching him during that game, we're going to be talking about him. He is fun to watch. Devin Witherspoon was my favorite part of that game. There was one point, he got a sack, no one blocked him. Giants didn't even bother. They were like, this dude is so good, we're just going to let him through.
I mean, here's an argument to that. The fact that no one blocked him on the sack shows that it wasn't really a very well-earned sack. I mean, it was just a bad offense he was up against that he was doing well against. So, I mean, I do think Devin Witherspoon's a very good cornerback, but I think you're definitely overhyping him a little bit there. I'd say Witherspoon's performance was due to a lot of defensive breakdown that his coach was able to find. Rushing a cornerback is not a very common thing, and clearly the Giants were not prepared for that. So I think more of the issue was the backup O-line of the Giants with a very scared, very uncomfortable looking Daniel Jones led to a lot of breakdowns. And I'll say that the pick he had, pretty much all of the turnovers in that game and the big defensive plays were due to Daniel Jones not looking comfortable and not making his reads. In fact, on the one where the coach got so mad at Daniel Jones, where Dayball usually threw the pad at him, on that pick, it was a very simple fix for Daniel Jones. He had a wide open guy in the back. He had his best player on that team, Waller, wide open in the back. So it's more towards Daniel Jones playing scared and not looking very comfortable. I'll say for the Seahawks, in their defense, I actually think more of the credit is due to that defensive line that's providing those picks for him. Because the only reason those picks are getting thrown is because Daniel Jones is sitting scared in that pocket. To that D line, and I think really the coaching staff that made that D line so effective, that rushed Witherspoon at the right moment, I think they deserve all the credit for that. Witherspoon, I'm excited to see more from him, but we'll see what he can do in the long run.
I just think it's insane how consistently the Seahawks have great cornerbacks. I mean, Tariq Woolen's a great cornerback. He almost won Defensive Rookie of the Year last year, and some people think he should have won it over Sauce. I know you're going to disagree with that, but and then Richard Sherman, arguably a Hall of Famer, part of the Legion of Boom. So, I mean, they've had consistent good cornerback play in Seattle, and I think the rest of the league needs to look at what they're doing.
I mean, sure.
I mean, all right. So you're very high on Devin Witherspoon.
I loved Devin Witherspoon.
Is there any other takeaways that you had from the game other than Devin freaking Witherspoon?
Evan Neal blocked his own offensive lineman at one point during the Giants. Their offensive line isn't great. I often forget Darren Waller is even on the Giants because Daniel Jones refuses to throw to him. Or if he does, he somehow overthrows a 6'7" tight end. So that's my analysis for that.
Wasn't he like Darren Waller used to be like goated back?
Darren Waller was goated with the Raiders. I needed him to get like 10 yards one week in fantasy, and he didn't. So I was like, okay, bud, you're off the team. Traded him. So it's a cutthroat league. It's a cutthroat league. It's the way it goes.
But yeah, so that's Monday Night Football for you. Monday Night Football, very not very eventful, kind of disinteresting, but nonetheless.
Devin Witherspoon's a dog. Devin Witherspoon's a dog.
Devin freaking Witherspoon is a dog. For All the Dogs, Drake's album came out yesterday. Anyway, going and moving forward, Thursday Night Football. What are you giving me that look for? You said he was a dog, and Drake dropped an album called For All the Dogs, which came out yesterday at 6 a.m.
Well, Pitbull dropped an album called Trackhouse for Trackhouse Racing. So if we're just plugging artists.
Yeah, well, I mean, it made sense, but because you said dog, and the album was called For All the Dogs.
Move on, go.
But Pitbull is a dog, too, so I guess it works. Anyway, Thursday Night Football. And this is only relevant for a little bit later on in the show, but Chase Claypool was benched for the Chicago Bears game. Next thing you know, the Chicago Bears, after Dick Butkus passed away, unfortunately, rest up, Dick Butkus, they went out and they absolutely obliterated, well, I don't want to say obliterated, but they were pretty much destroyed the Washington Commanders. Commanders didn't even stand a chance. Bears pick up their first win since Elon Musk bought Twitter in 2022. Oh my goodness. Josh, I know you were crazy about this game. I know you were texting like crazy in our 4-person group chat here. What did you see in this game? I mean, Sam Howell got me 25 fantasy points as he did you, but like, what happened to the Commanders? And after Chase Claypool got benched, all of a sudden, DJ Moore decided that he was the best wide receiver in the league and decided that he was just going to get 50 fantasy points and get 200 receiving yards. What is going through your head? Do you think the Bears are legit, Josh? Do you think the Bears are going to be the best team in the next 2 years? What are you thinking about the Bears?
I think that this was a fluke. I don't think the Bears are good.
Okay.
Matt Eberflus has almost lost the team. There were rumors swirling that if he lost to the Commanders, then they were going to fire him. There's suggestions that they should trade Justin Fields to like the Atlanta Falcons or someone that needs a quarterback. I don't see them as a great team. Then on the other, I don't think that the Bears won this game. Let me put it that way. I think that the Commanders lost. And I know that sounds like the same thing, but I mean, the Bears didn't play extra. I mean, Justin Fields played better than what we've seen him. I'll give him that. But the Commanders' defense was atrocious. Like, there was a point where Khalil Herbert got thrown a screen pass, and it looked like it was going to go for a loss of yards, and he ended up getting a first down because like 5 guys missed the tackle. You can't do that. Chicago somehow locked down Terry McLaurin, or Sam Howell just doesn't throw to Terry McLaurin. One of the two. There were points where Terry McLaurin wasn't even on the field for some reason. I don't know why. He's your best wide receiver. He's arguably a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Use him. I don't know why Jamison Crowder's out on the field and Terry McLaurin isn't. So that
maybe he was tired.
He had like 13 yards.
Yeah, maybe he was tired, man. And Madden, whenever my Chicago Bears Madden glitches, sometimes DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp, and whatever wide receiver I have in this fantasy draft just decide that they're too tired to play after one drive, and then Gandy Golden goes in as my wide receiver 1.
Logan Thomas fumbled, so that's a thing the Commanders did. You can't do that.
Logan Thomas did have a good game, though.
He did have a good game, but he fumbled, and there was during a good drive. They were driving down the field. I think it might have even been to take the lead on that drive. I can't remember, but he fumbled, and you can't do that. I am not prepared yet to say that the Chicago Bears have fixed things. First of all, only one wide receiver the entire game caught a pass on the Bears side, and it was DJ Moore, which that helps explain why he had like 200 and some yards in the game. Cole Kmet was the other main receiver. If you can't tackle, if you're literally letting a guy get 200 some receiving yards on you, that's a defensive problem for the Washington Commanders. That's why I say they lost the game. The Bears didn't win it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good insight there. I mean, a lot of people are on this huge Bears train now since they won 40-20 over the Commanders. I also think it was a fluke. I think the Commanders are also still trying to figure things out over in Washington. I think it'll take a little bit of time, but I think the Commanders will be fine. As for the Bears, they benched Chase Claypool, and, well, we'll get into that in a second. But Stan, Alvarado, do you guys have any other insight regarding the Bears-Commanders game on Thursday Night Football? Was there anything that was super exciting to you? Were you pleased with anything? Were you disappointed? Do you guys think Bears football is back?
I wouldn't say it's back, but I think something to consider. I told this to Josh one-on-one, but the last time the Bears won a game was October 24th of 2022. That is almost an entire year. So the fact that they were this close to going an entire year without winning a game, I think that says something wild. But, what I'm still also trying to process is just everything that happens behind the scenes, the coaching staff. Do the Bears still have faith in Justin Fields? And then I caught myself asking Josh the question, do you guys think Justin Fields is a good quarterback, but he's just maybe being mismanaged, or he could do better in a different team? Or do you think it's just the Bears are just bad in general, and it's just not even a Justin Fields thing? It's more so it's just the whole team all around. Or, maybe he's a good quarterback, but just being in a different team would probably suit him better. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, if I could jump in, I just want to say I think they should have gone the full year without winning a game. That would have been awesome. Okay,
it would have been great. It would
have been amazing. And I don't know why they have to win this game to the Commanders. That means nothing for them. I mean, they're not going to come back and go to the Super Bowl. Just go the full year. Commit to it. Do something. And I was very upset to see them win, just because I wanted to see that full year of losses. That would have been probably the highlight of the season for me. But I'll say for Fields, I do think Fields looked really comfortable in the pocket. I want to say I have to disagree with what Josh was saying. While yes, the Commanders looked terrible, the Commanders' rush was very good, and I really like the poise that Fields showed in the pocket. Fields and a lot of young quarterbacks, especially, one of their big things is they don't know how to commit. And we were talking about this with Pickett and Wilson when I was with Chuss last time. And Fields, I saw a lot of committing. When he made a mistake, he stuck with it, and rather than making a bigger mistake, went down. He threw it out of bounds. He knew how to commit to his decisions, and I think that's a big reason why the Bears did well, because Fields knew what he was doing. He looked comfortable out there. DJ Moore was amazing. I think most of his pretty much every big run, play he had, there was 3 chances the Commanders had to stop him, and they somehow messed up every single chance. So the Commanders' defense secondary, their secondary looks terrible, but their their D line looked decent, and I thought that a lot of it just came down to Fields looking really comfortable. Now, to go off Alvarado's question now, yeah, I think Fields is a good quarterback. I think he can do a lot in the NFL, and I think that's what we saw on Thursday night. However, I don't know if he's at the level where he could just go to another team and that'll solve everything. I think the being on the Bears might actually be good for him because he's dealing with a lot of adversity and he's fighting through a lot, learning how to work in a pocket without a lot of protection around him. And I think that's going to make him a much better quarterback in the long run. I don't think he's going to re-sign with the Bears because after all he's been to, I mean, unless he's getting Stockholm syndrome, I don't know why he would stay there. But I think when it's time, he's going to move on and he's going to do a lot better somewhere else.
I think we just lost the entire demographic of Chicago that was listening to this podcast. But
it's
sorry,
fine.
Chicago.
Well, maybe someday Chicago fans will come back whenever we actually are preaching highly of them. But right now we're not because they are.
The Chicago Bears, though, I think that they're not tanking. I'll give them that. A lot of people are saying they're tanking for Caleb Williams. They have the first 2 picks right now. And me and Joe talked about this with the Cardinal rule, with where the Cardinals tanking. And we both agreed they're not. People still saying the Cardinals are tanking, but they don't look like they're tanking. The Bears don't look like they're tanking. The Bears are trying to win. They're trying their hardest, and they finally did it on Thursday night. So maybe Caleb Williams might not even want to go to Chicago. His dad came out and said, yeah, if the team sucks, he's just going to go back to school. So,
yeah. So, I mean, it'll be definitely interesting to see who ends up with Caleb Williams. I mean, once again, still very early on in the season. I mean, it always brings up that conversation that if a team even is, like with Arizona or something like that, would you even tank for Caleb Williams? Because it's one of those things where it's like Caleb Williams is supposed to be a generational talent, but we've seen these so-called generational talents get taken and then they never do anything, or they are very slow at starting. Not every generational talent starts out as like a dominant figure. I mean, Johnny Manziel, Ali, Trevor Lawrence took a little bit to cook a little bit. So, but nonetheless, I mean, that's a conversation for a different time. We'll see where Caleb Williams' projection is, come the end of the season, because obviously there's some other quarterbacks in there like Drake May and some other quarterbacks that might be considered in the discussion. But,
I just wanted to give Chicago fans a positive. You guys are not tanking.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Good. I'm glad that the Bears are not tanking. Maybe they'll prove Stan wrong, and then they'll finish the season like undefeated, and then they'll go on to win the Super Bowl. They're 1-3. Yeah, they're gonna go 14-3, and then they're gonna win the Super Bowl, and they're gonna actually beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and all the Swifties are gonna be very upset. So that's my prediction. I'm gonna throw money on it right now. I'm just kidding. I'm not that rich. Moving on. When it comes to the Bears, though, literally not even 24 hours after the game, Chase Claypool, who was benched for the Chicago Bears, was traded to the Miami Dolphins for a 6th-round pick. So it was Claypool and a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 6th-round pick. And I don't know why the Miami Dolphins would do this trade. Not that there's no like real benefit there. I mean, they have great wide receiver depth. It's not like they need any more, but they're adding it there. But now it brings up the question, are the Miami Dolphins the next team to go on that losing streak with the Chase Claypool trade? Is Chase Claypool the reason for losing teams? Now, I'm just saying that as just like a real big stretch. I don't actually think that, but nonetheless, yeah, what did you guys think of the trade? I thought it was a little weird just because they have the depth. They have Tyreek Hill. They have Waddle. They've got some good wide receivers on their bench already. Like, I don't really see a need for it. But, Alvarado, did you have anything that you think with Chase Claypool per se? I don't know if you know too much about Chase Claypool's background with the Steelers and stuff like that, or if you think it's a good trade for the Dolphins or not, or what's going through your head.
Couldn't tell you. I haven't really been looking into trades much. I've been more focusing more on the round picks. I believe a few days ago, I just more so, not to change subject too much, but I remember reading somewhere that the Bears had the first and second pick for the draft. That's been what's catching my attention, so I haven't even really been looking at trades lately.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So when it comes to the Chase Claypool thing, though, basically just like in case you didn't know, Chase Claypool played for the Steelers. He was supposed to be really good, and then he ended up not being good. We traded him to the Bears for a 32nd pick, which would have been an equivalent of a first-round pick because the Dolphins lost their first-round pick last year. We got that pick. We got Joey Porter Jr. out of it, and now Claypool didn't do anything in Chicago. Now he's in Miami. So we don't really know what's going on with Chase Claypool. Honestly, there's really nothing much to analyze there. Honestly, the fact that you're looking at first overall and second overall picks for the Bears is actually probably better because it is interesting to see what they possibly could do with those picks. But nonetheless, when it comes to Chase Claypool, though, like Josh, did you think that this Chase Claypool thing was anything special? Because I don't think it is.
I think Mike McDaniel likes to just have fun. I think he went to the front office and was like, hey, we can get Chase Claypool for pretty cheap. And in his presser, he was like, yeah, he's fast. That was what Mike McDaniel said about Chase Claypool. Yeah, I like him. He's fast. So it seems to me like Mike McDaniel's just like, hey, we can win. We know we can win, but can we win with this set of guys? Okay, now we're going to try this set of guys and just move it around. And I'll let Stan elaborate more on this because he's the one who actually brought up the point in our group chat. There is a drop-off from wide receiver 2 to wide receiver 3 in Miami. And so Chase Claypool might be able to help that a little bit. But this just seems like such a Mike McDaniel move to me. And I love Mike McDaniel. I just feel like he's like, new toy. I want to play with my new toy. Bring my new toy to Miami. We're going to see what we can do with this new toy. But Stan, what did you mean? Well, I know what you meant, but elaborate on what you meant by the drop-off between wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 in Miami.
Well, wide receiver 2, Jalen Waddle. Wide receiver 3, Braxton Berrios, who was pretty much a wide receiver 4 and 5 for the Jets last year. So he's not really the best wide receiver to have there. Now, he's a great wide receiver, if you remember, one of my favorite players. But I think Chase Claypool has a chance to, really get a better role on this team. Another thing that really stands out to me is if you look at the way the Dolphins play, pretty much all of their wide receivers alternate between playing a wide out type position and playing the slot. Even Tyreek Hill, I was looking this morning and he plays something like 40 to 50% of his snaps in the slot. And that's Tyreek Hill. Waddle does the same. So for Chase Claypool, if you remember with Pittsburgh, the big issue on the Steelers team for him was he did not like playing the slot, but he was forced to. And I think that ability to play both slot and wide out for Claypool, being a big figure who could run out there and is fast enough to beat those cornerbacks, but could also come in through slants and beat linebackers down the middle of the field, that's a really good weapon. Now, I do think he can become a wide receiver 3. I think right now they have him listed way lower, but I think they're going to let him, if he plays well, jump into a better position. I think he will. Chase Claypool is a guy who we've seen him succeed, right? So I think a lot of what we're seeing nowadays with him not looking good is more due to, not the best team with the Bears and having a little bit of issues before that with the Steelers. So I think on a team where he's going to be allowed to do a lot, where he's going to be able to play both wide out and slot, I do think he's going to perform better. And because, again, the Dolphins are a team that rely on having wide receivers who can play both slot and more wide out positions, I think he's a great fit for them. And even though they're a division rival, so I don't want to see them doing too well, but I actually do think he's going to be a weapon they're going to be able to use a lot. And again, with that wide receiver 2 to wide receiver 3 drop off, they have a lot of guys in that who could be wide receiver 3s. We're talking about Chosen, Robbie Anderson, right? He should be a wide receiver 3, but he hasn't been playing well. And they have a few other guys and a couple injuries there in the wide receiver room who could really step up. So I think he has the ability to get a decent role on this offense. Now the ball's in his hands, hopefully quite literally, to perform well and to do something with it. Another thing is Tua is looking amazing. Tua's getting the ball out there. He didn't have a great game against the Bills, but he's still playing well. So you have a good quarterback now, a stable quarterback. You have a really good quarterback number 2. I think the Dolphins are going to be making a playoff run. Even if they can't get that first spot in the division, I think they're definitely going to be able to get that number 2 spot if they could keep what they have going. And you're going to want depth if you're going to make those type of runs, right? Because let's say Waddle goes down, let's say Barris goes down, having a guy like Claypool on the team, who again you got very cheap, it's a great thing to have.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think, if Claypool can actually, become a solid wide receiver 3, like if McDaniel can actually, mold him into like a stud, because he has the potential to be great. I mean, he's a 6'3" athlete wide receiver. He's a tall guy. He has all the potential in the world to be good. I mean, back whenever he was first drafted with Pittsburgh, they called him Mapletron because he's from Canada. Like the Steelers thought that he was going to be great, and maybe it was just the schemes, maybe it was something else. This is a very interesting scheme in Miami compared to what the Bears have been doing, and obviously with Matt Canada's Steelers offense, which I'm not even going to discuss because I've discussed that so much over this past week. So maybe Chase Claypool just needed one last third time's a charm, fresh air in Miami, and we'll see what happens with that Claypool thing.
And Mike McDaniel is such a good coach. Like, he's already proven that he's an offensive genius. He comes off of that Shanahan coaching tree that, like, this is Claypool's last chance. I feel like you can't say Mike McDaniel sucks. He's not a good coach. You could say that about Eberflus and the Bears. You could say that about Matt Canada's offense in Pittsburgh. Can't say that about Miami. So this is his last chance, in my opinion.
No, I 100% agree, because that's kind of like what I was alluding to, is just like the idea that, Matt Canada's offense had Chase Claypool running with it. He didn't look that good. He got traded to Chicago. Their offense hasn't done much, and like we've mentioned on the show already, they hadn't won in almost over a year, close to a year at this point. So, this is their first victory, and it didn't have Claypool on it. I don't think Claypool's necessarily the problem in Chicago. I don't necessarily thought Claypool was the issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, but this will be his last chance. Now, I know that me, Stan, and Alvarado don't know much about this guy. Josh, you might have a little bit more information on this guy. There was another trade that occurred, apparently, even though a couple of days ago it said he was released. It says the 49ers acquired Randy Gregory and a 7th-round pick from the Broncos in exchange for a 6th-round pick, even though a few days ago it did say that he got released. So I'm not really entirely sure what's going on with that. Josh, do you have any further details on that, or if this guy is good for the 49ers? Is he?
So Randy Gregory, I remember when he got signed by the Broncos originally, last year, maybe 2 years ago, he was with the Cowboys. Last year, I pulled up his contract here. So last year was when he went with the Broncos. He was originally with the Cowboys. Cowboys moved on from him. He was a free agent. And this was kind of the same season that it seemed like every team in the AFC West was signing pass rushers. This was the same season Khalil Mack went to the Chargers. So I was calling the AFC West Sack City. And then Randy Gregory kind of disappeared. He wasn't really doing much. They had signed him to a 5-year, $70 million contract, and he was guaranteed $28 million at signing. So you kind of expected him to do well. Thought they were going to use him. Well, obviously, last year with the Broncos was horrible. This year isn't going great either. And Randy Gregory apparently didn't like his playing time that he was getting, and he allegedly, this is the rumor, he requested to be released. Well, you thought that was the end of the story. Okay, he got released. What ended up happening is the 49ers stepped in, and they decided that they were going to trade for him. And I thought that was an interesting team to pick him up, because they already have a phenomenal defense. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But maybe they just wanted depth in case someone like Nick Bosa got hurt, someone big like that. I don't know that Randy Gregory is going to necessarily see more playing time in San Francisco. Maybe they just want someone, or I guess Nick Bosa is a defensive end though, so Randy Gregory's offensive or outside linebacker. But maybe they just want someone to rotate out with these guys that are playing super well in San Francisco to make sure they don't get hurt as much. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know that it's going to be like a earth-shattering trade here, that the 49ers are all of a sudden going to be way better than they already are because they can't really move up from where they're at, in my opinion. But it happened.
Yeah, I was just kind of confused about it because I know there was conflicting reports earlier this week that he was released, and then as of yesterday, which was pretty close to when the Chase Claypool trade happened, he also got traded to the 49ers. Very similar types of trades. It was the player and a 7th-round pick for a 6th-round pick, both very similar, but I just didn't really know too much about the guy and what he had been doing because he's just been kind of not doing anything. I mean, the Broncos haven't really been in the discussion that much over the last couple of seasons either, so I mean, that's really not, entirely the issue here, but it is what it is.
He had, let's see, in 2022, he had 2 sacks, 12 tackles. This year, he has 9 tackles, and 1 sack so far. So, I mean, he's not doing much. Compare that to when he was with the Cowboys. He had 6 sacks was his peak season. So,
yeah,
I don't think it's anything earth-shattering.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely could be doing better, but definitely not earth-shattering, as you mentioned. But when it comes to today, though, there was a contract extension that happened going into tomorrow's games, which hopefully we'll have enough time to talk about our picks. But, the Colts did sign an extension for Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor is expected to play tomorrow in the Colts game. He was signed to a 3-year, $42 million deal. And this comes, shortly after he was pretty much, injured for the last couple of weeks. This is, his first week coming back. Looks like the Colts are very high still on Jonathan Taylor. And I mean, who wouldn't be? But I mean, when it comes to injuries and stuff, some people change their opinions, change their minds. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a terrible move. I think, Jonathan Taylor is still really good as long as he's healthy. And if he can stay healthy, I think he can be really, really good. I mean, after all, he was at the top of every fantasy draft board over the last year. So, except for this year because of being hurt. So I know last year he was on the top of everybody's draft board. So, but nonetheless, when it comes to it, we'll just kind of roll with it. Stan, is there anything that you want to say about Jonathan Taylor getting that extension? You think this is a good move for the Colts, or do you think that they should have just kind of let him go after the next year or so? Do you think this extension was good?
I mean, it's definitely a good move. And I think Jonathan Taylor also really enjoys being there, even though they haven't found the most success. It's very clear he loves the fan base, the city, and the team. So I think it's a great move for him as well as a running back. We've seen a lot of running backs get injured, especially when they reach Jonathan Taylor's age, and not being able to sign that 2nd, that 3rd contract. So I think for Taylor, being able to sign that contract now, get that extension in, make sure you're set. If you like playing in the city, make sure you're there for a bit. And I hope he's able to find some success there. I'd like to see some better playoff runs coming the next couple of years from them. So we'll see what they can do. But, everyone loves Jonathan Taylor. He's a great guy, clearly loves what he does, and he loves that team. So great for both groups.
Yeah, no, I honestly agree. I mean, if he's happy there too, and he has been very content, he hasn't shown disinterest of, playing in Indianapolis. He seems to really love the fan base and love the team, as you said. So I really do think this is a good move for him, and I think it's a good move for the Colts. Alvarado, did you want to add in anything with the Jonathan Taylor extension, or did you have any opinion? No comment even? I mean, it doesn't matter.
You guys pretty much already said it all.
Yeah. Josh, do you have anything to comment on it? I know that it looks like you're smiling as if you're about to say something like super crazy.
I love this. There was so much drama during and the Colts are my number 2 team. I grew up a Colts fan. I still live in Indiana, so I love it when the Colts do well. And the whole drama this offseason with between Jim Irsay, the Colts organization, and Jonathan Taylor with oh yeah, we're not going to extend him. We can move on. You don't need him. They were subtweeting each other or sub-Xing or whatever the phrase is now. And it was just it was like a soap opera, man. It was stupid. And we were getting all these reports like, oh yeah, Jonathan Taylor's he's physically unable to perform, so technically we can't even extend him if we wanted to. And then Jonathan Taylor saying, no, I'm not hurt. And doctors on both ends are saying, but it was just confusing. And then you had, on top of that, to just throw more gasoline on the fire, you had the whole running backs maybe going on strike because they aren't getting paid. Some were thinking about refusing to play. Josh Jacobs was sitting out. It was just a mess. And I was like, man, Jonathan Taylor was so good for the Colts. Like, if there was a thing in the offense that worked the last few years for the Colts, it was Jonathan Taylor. And now that they're kind of getting something going, they don't have Jonathan Taylor. I like this for running backs because I do think running backs should get paid. Bijan Robinson is currently one of the highest paid, and he's a rookie. That's ridiculous. And I think we've seen kind of how important running backs are now this season because so many have gotten injured. Saquon got injured. Austin Eckler got injured. I think Josh Jacobs has had some injury issues as well. Christian McCaffrey's been playing super well. So we've seen the importance of the running back this season. Jonathan Taylor coming back for the Colts makes me very excited. I think Colts fans should be ecstatic because now you've got Anthony Richardson, who's looked fantastic. You've got Jonathan Taylor, who we already know is fantastic. That backfield is going to be insane. You can now go to where Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss. Zach Moss has looked good, but now adding Jonathan Taylor into the mix for that offense, that's exciting. I am definitely going to be watching the Titans-Colts game this weekend.
Yeah, and then, you mentioned with the Titans and Colts, with our final segment for the week, we're not going to do scores. We're not going to do too much in-depth analysis because we did a lot of in-depth analysis of the last couple of games for our teams and whatnot. But going into this week, I'm just going to ramble off all the games up until what? Do you, Josh? Do you think that we should ramble up until Monday as well, or do you think we should just cut off on Monday? What are you thinking?
Cut off at Monday. We'll talk about Monday on Monday.
Sounds good. All right, so we're gonna roll here. I'm gonna say my pick, and then I'll go Stan, Alvarado, Josh, and then we'll see how many we get right. You can throw a final score in there if you want to. If not, it's no big deal. So first and foremost, Jaguars at Bills. Even though they're not technically in Buffalo, they're in London. It's going to be played tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think the Bills are going to win this game. Not that I think the Jags are bad. I just think the Jags need a little bit more to get going because right now they're not looking like the same team that they kind of showed last year where there's that spark. I think they need that spark again. So I think Buffalo's really showing that spark after losing week 1. So I think it's going to be Buffalo. Stan, what do you think? You think it's going to be Jags or Bills?
No question to me that's an easy game for the Bills, I think. I think the only big positive Jaguars have is that they've been in London a little longer, so they might be a little more used to it. But I think the Bills will still come out with the victory.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that is a good point with the London thing. So, but Alvarado, what are you thinking, Jags or Bills?
I'm going Bills. I just don't think Jags basically have kicked it off really well, but I think they could also – I think Bills will be the winners, but I also think Jags will probably maybe not keep up, but, I don't think they'll get blown away either. Maybe not a close game, but I still think in the end the Bills are going to win.
Yeah, and I mean, as Stan said, maybe that influence of playing in London might help the Jags' chances of keeping it close. So, all right, cool. So, Josh, final opinion. What are you thinking, Bills or Jags here? Looks like we have a little bit of a trend here. So,
yeah, I'm gonna go Bills. I mean, the Jaguars, like we said, aren't gonna have the jet lag, but Trevor Lawrence hasn't really impressed me much this season, and that Bills defense has been insane. So I'm going Bills.
All right, cool. So second off game, 1:00 tomorrow, Saints at Patriots. Honestly, I couldn't care less about this game, but I think the New Orleans Saints are going to win. So I'm just not even going to further elaborate just because, well, for one, I'm not a huge Patriots fan and the Patriots aren't looking too good. Saints look maybe just a tad better, but yeah, I'm going to go Saints. Stan, what are you thinking?
I'm a little worried. I think the Patriots might actually come out with a win here. The Saints lost their last two. The last one was a really ugly one. The Patriots also do look ugly, so it's a little weird, both bad teams type of situation. But I think as much as I'm worried about the Patriots, I do think the Saints will pull through.
All right, yeah, definitely an ugly game. Hence why I don't really care about it. Anyway, Alvarado, which team do you think? Saints or Patriots?
Like Stan said, they both have similar records. From what I recall, I think the Saints are 2-2 and Patriots are 1-3. I think it's going to be a close one, but I think this one, I'm going to stand on this one. I think Patriots are going to just barely win it and still hopefully maybe surprise us. Hopefully, we'll see.
All right, and then Josh, final answer from you. It's
I am going New England. J.C. Jackson is back in the building. He looked great under Bill Belichick. Mr. Interception is back. New England's taking it.
All right, so it looks like I'm outnumbered here. I think it's going to be the Saints. The rest of them think it's going to be the Patriots. But nonetheless, Titans at Colts. This should be an interesting one, but I think it's going to be the Colts. I think the Colts just look a lot better, and with Jonathan Taylor coming back this week, I think it's almost like a no-brainer that the Colts are going to win. So, and plus on top of that, they're playing at home. Stan, what you thinking? Titans or Colts?
Post game, the Colts are going to pull out.
All right, Alvarado, what you thinking?
Just to be different, and it's only to be different. Titans, because I think they're both about even out. They're both 2-2, so yeah, I'm going Titans, but just to be different for that reason alone.
Yeah, that's fair. And Josh, what you thinking?
Definitely the Colts. I mean, come on. We've seen Anthony Richardson. We bashed him a ton in the offseason. He's looked good. He led that comeback into overtime against the Rams, and they still lost because Puka Nacua got a touchdown in overtime, but now they got Jonathan Taylor. It's Colts. It's easy.
All right, so we've got the Colts here. It's three Colts and one Titans, and then when it comes to Ravens at Steelers, as much as I want to pick the Steelers, I think the Ravens are going to win. They have a track record of beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh a lot over the last couple of years, as Pittsburgh has beaten the Ravens a lot in Baltimore over the last couple of years. So I'm going to go with the Ravens. Kenny Pickett's still getting off that injury. I think there's going to be a lot to figure out for the Steelers, especially going up against the Ravens. So I'm going to pick the Ravens as much as it kills my soul. I think the Ravens are going to probably win, especially after that monstrosity of a terrible game. But Stan, what you thinking for the Steelers-Ravens game?
I think you might be looking at a Ravens blowout, unfortunately. As much as I want the Steelers to win as well, I think the Ravens are they're much better team right now.
No, I 100% agree. What you thinking, Alvarado? Steelers or Ravens here?
I mean, we're probably going to go with the Ravens, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. I don't think it'll be close, but maybe like 9 points, 10 points maybe. Hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, always hoping for the best. And Josh, what you thinking? AFC North matchup here.
Is Cam Hayward playing?
Cam Hayward, I think, is still out for the next 5 weeks because he had a torn groin. So
and I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to stop this guy.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson. I got to go with the Ravens. I hate it.
Right. Yeah, I think we all just are kind of like, yeah, Ravens probably going to win. But this is going to be a fun one. Panthers-Lions. I'm going Lions here. No sweat. I think Adam Thielen might pop off a little bit, but I don't think he's going to pop off enough for the Lions to lose. So, but I'm going Lions. They're playing in Detroit. Lions are looking solid. Stan?
No question, Lions.
All right, Alvarado, you're big Lions.
I'm going with the Lions because they have a winning streak of 2 right now. They're at home, and Panthers are 0-4 right now. So I think they have no reason to not be confident. But I think they should also keep in mind what happened to that Packers game. They started choking up a little bit. So let's just hope that's not a repeat.
Yeah, that is a good point. And then Josh, what you thinking?
Bryce Young hasn't impressed me much. They need to bench him for my boy Andy Dalton. Panthers are also looking for a wide receiver 1. I think they should look into DJ Moore in Chicago. He's been playing pretty well. Maybe want to trade for him. I don't know. Might be something to look into, Carolina. Going with the Lions here.
All right. So big Lions picks for all of us here. But when it comes to Texans and Falcons, I don't know where you guys are feeling, but especially after that huge win over the Steelers, I'm going with the Texans here. I think Stroud's really impressed me. I think they're going to pick up a big win over the Atlanta Falcons, who, although aren't the worst, they're definitely not impressing me enough to have me think that they're going to beat the Texans this week. I don't know. There's something weird about the Texans right now. Maybe the Texans are starting to light it up because Stroud's making Nico Collins and Tank Dell look good. So Houston Texans, what you thinking, Stan?
Falcons are coming off, I think, 2 blowouts now. So I don't think they're going to be able to switch it up this week. I think the Texans are going to pull through, and they're going to do it in quite a dominant fashion.
All right. So, Alvarado, what you thinking? You thinking?
Yeah, this one I'm not really familiar with neither of the teams, so safe bet's probably go with the Falcons.
All right. And Josh, what you thinking here?
So I want to root for Jesse Bates. He's leading the league in interceptions right now down in Atlanta, and he's my boy. But CJ Stroud, he's looked really good, and he didn't look good to start the season off. But now he's probably the best rookie out there. Maybe Puka Nacua, but I got to go Texans. That's a hard one for me.
Yeah. So, all right. Now moving on to Giants Dolphins, and then we'll be done with all of our 1 o'clock games. We'll move on to the 4 o'clocks after that. Giants Dolphins, both coming off of pretty decent sized losses here, but I'm going Dolphins here. They're in Miami. I think Miami's going to bounce back here. I don't think the Giants are going to be bouncing back after their atrocious last couple of weeks. So I'm going Dolphins all the way. What you thinking, Stan? Dolphins or Giants?
No question. It's going to be the Dolphins.
Yeah. So Alvarado, what you thinking?
We're going Dolphins. They've been killing it lately.
All right, and Josh?
Dan sounded in so much pain. Yeah, I'm going Dolphins.
All right. So Dolphins. Okay, moving on. Bengals and Cardinals. I'm going Cardinals because the Bengals don't have anything figured out. Stan, what you think?
I really want the Bengals to win. And the thing is, I don't think the Cardinals have that much figured out. I think the Bengals could come and switch things up this week. I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Yeah, just for reference, the only reason I said the Bengals don't have anything figured out is just because they're just struggling a little bit. But I do think the Cardinals are doing just a tad better, but maybe the Bengals will heat up this week. Anyway, rookie Alvarado, what you thinking? Bengals are
I'm gonna back the Bengals up. I think similar to what I said that first time the Lions beat the Chiefs, maybe it was just a rough start. I think the Bengals are having a rough start right now, but I think hopefully they'll figure it out. And both teams have similar records, 1-3. So I think this is a good game for the Bengals to get their momentum going. It'll be close, but we're going Bengals.
Bengals, all right. And then, Josh, what you thinking here?
The Cardinals have been really good. They have put up a fight even against the 49ers. Bengals might not have Trey Hendrickson. I have no idea where Burrow's calf is. We got to get Jamar involved. We can win. We beat the Rams. We can win football games. I have to go on the Cardinal rule on Monday to talk about this game with Joe Como. I was invited on, and I don't want to go on a loser, so I'm going with the Bengals.
Well, whenever you go on the show, just know that if the Cardinals win, make sure you say that just said that that the Cardinals were going to win, just like I did for the Cowboys game. So now, arguably, this might be the game of the week here. Eagles at Rams here. This one is tough because the Rams, they've got Cooper Kupp coming back this week as well as having Puka Nacua here. You got a super, decent Matt Stafford. You got Kyron Williams in the backfield that's looking really good. And obviously the Eagles are 4-0. It's a tough one, but for some reason, something in my heart's telling me that the Eagles 4-0 streak's going to get snapped by the Rams here. I think Cooper Kupp's just going to have a pretty decent game here coming back. And I don't know if the Eagles are going to be ready for Puka and Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams. I don't know if the Eagles are ready for that. But what you thinking, Stan? Eagles or Rams?
Believe it or not, I do agree with you on this. I mean, the Rams, I think, have one of the worst, or maybe not one of the worst, but a very poor secondary. And I think with all of these amazing wide receivers that the Rams have built up, I think they're going to eat up that Eagles secondary that just is not looking good. So I think those cornerbacks are going to be on their back foot a lot in that game. And I think the Rams are going to win in a really high-scoring match.
All right. Cool. So, Alvarado, what you thinking here?
Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm going with the Eagles this one. I think they'll still be able to pull through and keep their good record.
All right. And then, Josh, what you thinking?
I mean, the Eagles went into overtime against the Commanders that just lost to the Bears, that same exact team. The Eagles' offense has been fantastic. The Eagles' secondary hasn't been great. It's not the same Eagles' secondary as last year. Jalen Carter's looked really good, though, too, in defense. And if Jalen Carter can get to Matthew Stafford, I think he will. I'm going to say Eagles because Matthew Stafford's been banged up a little bit, and I think Jalen Carter's going to look to add to that. So give me the Eagles.
All right, cool. So it's kind of a split here. So that'll be a kind of interesting game tomorrow. Jets Broncos 425 game. Both
Nathaniel
are
Hackett revenge game.
I'm gonna go with the Jets. I think I don't know. I think the Jets are gonna come out and surprise. So because I mean they looked good against the Chiefs. I think they're gonna go and pick up a win over Denver. Stan, what you feeling about the Jets?
I think this game also has a little bit of beef there too, and I think the Jets are gonna pull through.
All right. Alvarado, what you thinking? Jets or Bronx?
I'm going Jets, but also specifically, they really surprised me in almost coming close to beating the Chiefs, and I think if they could pull that off again, I think they'll be able to win this game. So we're going Jets.
All right, and then Josh, what you think?
I think Sean Payton's going to eat crow twice this year. Last year, he said that Tua was going to get benched for Teddy Bridgewater, and then Tua put up 70 points on his Broncos. And when Sean Payton became the head coach for the Broncos, he said Nathaniel Hackett was a terrible coach. Nathaniel Hackett's over in New York now as a coordinator. So I think Nathaniel Hackett's going to get another dub, and I'm going Jets. Take that, Sean Payton.
All right.
Don't be arrogant.
So four Jets to 0 Broncos. Last two games coming up here. We've got Chiefs at Vikings. I'm not too huge on the Vikings yet. I still think they have a lot to prove before I pick them to beat the Chiefs. I'm going to go Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win, probably by like 10 points or so. So what do you think, Stan?
I think the Chiefs are looking weak. I mean, they haven't really been looking that good this season overall, and they've scratched through some pretty poor teams. I think the Vikings are a team that is doing the opposite. They're playing really well, but they're just like they're on their back foot a little bit too much, and they're not completing these games. But I think against the Chiefs, I think we could see a big victory here. So I think the Vikings might come out with the win.
All right, Alvarado, what you think?
Similar to Stan's point, the Chiefs they've only lost to the Lions, but a lot of those games have been really, really close. Some might say the referee helped them, but I don't know. There's just something about Kelsey, Mahomes, and that dynamic duo. I think they'll be able to surprise us. So I'm still going Chiefs regardless of what's been going on.
All right, Josh.
I had the NFL script leaked to me. Taylor Swift is probably not going to be in attendance for this game, meaning the Chiefs are going to have to lose because Taylor Swift is the Kansas City Chiefs' new good luck charm. Going Minnesota Vikings here.
All right. Okay. All right.
Unless Taylor Swift attends, then the Chiefs will win. See, it's
So, all right. And then final game analysis real quick. Now, I said the Rams-Eagles might be the game of the week, but this also could be, and it's on Sunday Night Football. It is Cowboys at 49ers here. This game might be ridiculous. I have no idea what to expect. I don't want to root for them, but I kind of want the Cowboys to win. And so I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win. I want Brock Purdy's streak to be over now. I'm tired of hearing people talk about how great Brock Purdy is. So, Cowboys. Stan, what you think?
I think the 49ers are going to extend it another week. I mean, looking at the 49ers, they're such a consistent, just overall well-built team. And I don't see that with Dallas. I think Dallas has a lot of strength, but I think they have way more holes in that team than the 49ers have. So I think the 49ers, with their far superior coaching staff, are going to be able to pull through, expose the weaknesses in the Cowboys, and secure a primetime victory.
All right. And then rookie Alvarado, what you thinking?
I really guess I don't know. I'm going to go with Stan just to be on the safer side.
Okay.
Why is Stan the safe side?
I mean,
Stan gives some good points, and I don't really know too much about either of these teams.
I mean, he does bring up the good point. I mean, the Cowboys don't have everything complete, but they do have a pretty okay defense. I mean, after all, they have a good team, but San Francisco's is definitely 100 times better. But, we'll see. I'm still going to root for not my Cowboys, but the Cowboys. They're not. I don't claim the Cowboys. Anyway, Josh, what do you think?
I think Trent Williams is going to make Micah Parsons is going to make Trent Williams' life hell, and I think that Nick Bosa is going to make Dak Prescott's life hell. So I'm going to go 49ers here. I mean, they haven't even used George Kittle yet this season, and they're winning games. So they're going to find a way to beat the Cowboys. Kyle Shanahan is an offensive genius. So let's let's not play games here. It's the 49ers. Brock Purdy's going to prove that he's a franchise quarterback here.
Real quick, I want to add one more thing. I know the show's going a little long, but
Yes.
how many sacks do you think we're going to see in this game, Josh?
Total or
Total.
team?
I'm going to go 8, and I think most of them are going to be on Dak Prescott. But I think Micah will find a way to get to Brock Purdy a couple times.
Yeah, I was thinking more on the lines of 8. I think it was going to be like, for some reason, I think it's going to be like, I think I'm going to go 7. I think it's going to be like 7. I'm just going to go a little under than Josh. I think it's going to be 4 on Prescott, 3 on Purdy. Like it's going to be
freaking Price is Right. Come on.
Oh well, my bad for making a prediction. Alvarado, what you think?
Oof, no idea, man. I'm gonna pass on this one.
All right, but then Stan, how many sacks do you think there are?
I think we're only going to see 6, but I would not be surprised if we got to double digits. I would not be surprised at all if we saw 10. I think realistically speaking, we're going to see 6, but there is a possibility if, especially that San Francisco O-line cannot hold up early on, because you have some amazing rushers coming from the Cowboys. I think we could see a double-digit sack game. That's why I'm so excited.
You know what? I kind of hope that it goes in and it's just a cluster, and I hope that we see 16 sacks. I really do. I think that would be so funny. I wish that all teams each had like 8 sacks.
Sorry, I said 6, by the way.
I know, but you said it could be double digits. And I said, honestly, kind of thinking about it, I kind of hope that it would be 16.
7 to 16. That's quite the jump there.
Yeah, I mean, imagine though. Imagine it just turns into this thing where the O-lines just decide that they don't want to play anymore, and they just
Alvarado skipped the question.
All right, we'll go in the middle. We'll go in the middle. We'll go with 8.
Okay, so me and Alvarado are on the same page. Whatever your Stan gave a range of like 6 to 10.
Stan said 6.
I said we're going to see 6 realistically, but I really want to see 10. I think there's a small chance. I'd put a 5% chance that we see 10 sacks, and if that happens, I'm going to love it. I'm going to love every second of that game.
Yeah, and I said 7, but I would love to see 16. That's what I said, because 16 would just be funny. That's why I said it.
No, me and Alvarado are on the same team. High five, Alvarado. I don't know if you can. Are we on the same? There we go.
Relative.
You're on that screen. You're over here for me. So.
All right. So, does anybody else want to add anything else before we clock off the longest running No Butts About It show in NBAI history?
No.
All right. Do you want me to do the spiel, Josh, or do you want
do
to
the spiel? You do the spiel.
All right. Stan knows that I've been struggling a little bit with this, but I do my best because I read it off the screen. So thank you for watching today's show. If you enjoyed, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube at No Butts Show. Our social media pages are NoButts_show on Instagram and No Butts Show on TikTok. If you want to reach us, you can email us at bullmoosepodcast2@gmail.com. That is the number 2 at Gmail. What are you showing?
It's an alternate timeline. I just found this. I'm sorry. It's an alternate timeline where Taylor Swift is dating Daniel Jones, and it's an AI art. And it's her throwing the tablet at Daniel Jones.
Wow. Is she in a Jags jersey, though?
No, she's in a Giants jersey.
It looks like, on my screen, it looks like light blue. That's why I was like a little confused.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Buy the merch.
What do you... Bull Moose Podcast 2. If you want to reach us, you can email us at bullmoosepodcast2@gmail.com. That is the number 2@gmail.com. Finally, if you would like to buy merch and support us from all over the country, you can check out our merch in the description below. Once again, if you enjoyed today's show, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to tweet at Josh, you can tweet at him at Josh_Butts_2001 on X. So if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them in the comment section below. Until next time, thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Until next time, do something nice for somebody.